The feedback that made me stronger. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a harsh glare on the polished conference table as I sat there, my hands clenched around a pen, my knuckles white from the pressure. It was a dreary Thursday afternoon in October 2024, and I was 34 years old, a mid-level marketing analyst at a bustling advertising agency in Boston, Massachusetts. The office was a hive of activity, open-plan desks cluttered with laptops and coffee mugs, walls plastered with campaign posters, and the faint hum of phone conversations filling the air. Outside, the Charles River shimmered under a gray sky, but inside, I felt anything but calm. I'd been summoned to a one-on-one feedback session with my manager, Tom, a stern man in his 50s with a reputation for blunt critiques. The email had arrived that morning, 3 p.m., conference room B. Be prepared to discuss your recent work, and my stomach had been in knots ever since. I'd been with the agency for 3 years, climbing from a junior role to my current position, but that day, I had a sinking feeling that something was about to go terribly wrong. My desk, nestled near a window with a view of the Boston skyline, was my sanctuary amidst the chaos. It was adorned with a small cactus ID named Spike, a stack of marketing reports I'd painstakingly compiled, and a photo of my golden retriever, Max, who waited for me at home in my cozy apartment in Cambridge. I'd always prided myself on my analytical skills, turning data into actionable insights, crafting reports that shaped our campaigns, but lately, I'd felt stretched thin. The agency had taken on 3 new clients in the past 6 months, and my workload had doubled. I was staying late most nights, my eyes red from staring at spreadsheets, my fingers cramped from typing. I'd missed a deadline last month on a competitor analysis report, a mistake that had earned me a sharp glance from Tom in a team meeting, but I'd brushed it off, assuming it was a one-off. Now, as I sat waiting for Tom, I couldn't shake the dread creeping up my spine. Tom entered the room at exactly 3 p.m., his leather shoes clicking against the hardwood floor, a thick folder in his hands. He sat across from me, his expression unreadable, and opened the folder with a deliberate slowness that made my heart race. "Let's talk about your performance," he began, his voice low and measured. He pulled out a printout of my recent competitor analysis report, the one I'd rushed to finish after missing the deadline. "This is sloppy," he said, tapping the paper with a pen. "The data's incomplete, the conclusions are vague, and there are typos on page 5. I expected better from you." My face burned with embarrassment as he flipped to another page, a presentation I'd prepared for a client pitch. "And this," he continued, "lacked focus. The client walked away confused, and we lost the account. Your work's been slipping, and it's affecting the team." I opened my mouth to defend myself, but the words caught in my throat. He leaned back, his eyes narrowing. "You need to step up, or we'll need to reconsider your role here." The room seemed to close in around me as he closed the folder and left, his parting words echoing in my ears. I sat there, stunned, the pen slipping from my hand and clattering onto the table. That night, I drove home in a daze, the Boston traffic a blur of red taillights as rain streaked down my windshield. My apartment felt cold and empty when I walked in, Max greeting me with a wagging tail that did little to lift my spirits. I sank onto my couch, the city lights reflecting off the Charles River visible through my window, and replayed Tom's words in my head. Sloppy. Unfocused. Reconsider your role. I'd always seen myself as competent, even indispensable, but his feedback shattered that illusion. I'd been coasting, relying on my past successes to carry me through, and now I was paying the price. Tears stung my eyes as I realized how close I'd come to losing everything I'd worked for. Max nuzzled my hand, his warmth for a small comfort, but I couldn't shake the shame that weighed me down. The next day, I dragged myself into the office, my shoulders slumped, avoiding eye contact with my colleagues. My desk, usually a source of pride, now felt like a reminder of my failure. I opened my laptop, intending to drown my sorrows in work, but instead, I pulled up Tom's feedback notes, which had emailed me after the meeting. The list was brutal: incomplete data sets, lack of clear insights, poor time management. Each point felt like a punch to the gut, but as I read, a flicker of determination sparked inside me. If Tom thought I was slipping, I'd prove him wrong. I decided to turn this criticism into fuel, a chance to rebuild myself. I started by reviewing my workflow, identifying where I'd gone off track: too many late nights, not enough planning, and a reluctance to ask for help. Over the weekend, I holed up in my apartment, Max curled up at my feet, and created a new system. I downloaded a project management app, breaking my tasks into daily goals: data collection by 10 a.m., analysis by 2 p.m., report drafting by 5 p.m. I reached out to a coworker, Sarah, a senior analyst with a reputation for organization, and asked for her advice. She invited me to her desk on Monday, her space a model of efficiency with color-coded files and a whiteboard covered in timelines. "You're juggling too much," she said, her voice kind but firm. "Delegate what you can, and set boundaries." She showed me how to use a prioritization matrix, a tool that ranked tasks by urgency and impact, and I spent the afternoon applying it to my workload. By Tuesday, I'd delegated a minor data entry task to an intern, freeing up 2 hours a day, and felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Back at work, I threw myself into redeeming my reputation. My next assignment was a market trends report for a new client, a skincare brand launching a sustainable line. I started early, waking at 6 a.m. to review industry data, my apartment quiet except for Max's soft snores. I visited the office library, a small room lined with marketing journals, and spent hours cross-referencing statistics, my notepad filling with scribbles. I collaborated with Sarah and another colleague, Jake, a graphic designer, to create visuals that complemented my findings: charts with clean lines, infographics with earthy tones that mirrored the client's eco-friendly ethos. The process was grueling, my eyes straining under the fluorescent lights, but I relished the challenge. I submitted the report a day early, my heart pounding as I hit send, and waited for Tom's response. The feedback came the following week, delivered in another one-on-one meeting. Tom's office was as austere as ever, with a single potted plant wilting in the corner, but this time, his demeanor was different. He opened the folder, his fingers tracing the report's pages, and looked up at me. "This is a turnaround," he said, a rare hint of approval in his voice. "The data's thorough, the insights are sharp, and the visuals tie it all together. The client loved it, they've signed a 6-month contract." I exhaled, relief flooding through me, but he wasn't done. "You've shown me you can handle pressure," he added. "Keep this up, and we'll talk about a senior role soon." I left the meeting, my legs shaky, a smile breaking through as I returned to my desk. Sarah gave me a thumbs up from across the room, and Jake sent me a congratulatory text later that day. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I belonged. The months that followed were a testament to that turning point. I took on more complex projects, leading a team to pitch a campaign for a local university that won us a $200,000 contract. My apartment transformed into a workspace, with a new ergonomic chair, a second monitor for multitasking, and a thriving succulent collection. Spike had inspired me to care for more. I mentored a new hire, passing on Sarah's prioritization tips, and watched her thrive under my guidance. Tom's feedback, once a source of humiliation, had become the catalyst for my growth. By May 2025, I was promoted to Senior Marketing Analyst, a role that came with a corner office and a view of the Charles River that rivaled my apartments. The promotion party, held in the office with catered sandwiches and a cake shaped like a bar chart, was a celebration of my journey, from a crumbling confidence to a newfound strength. Looking back, that brutal feedback session was the wake-up call I needed. It forced me to confront my weaknesses and build a stronger foundation. When someone receives harsh criticism at work, they should listen closely, identify actionable steps, and use it as motivation to improve, rather than letting it define them. She turned her setback into a stepping stone by seeking help, restructuring her approach, and proving her worth. If you're facing tough feedback, don't let it break you, embrace it, adapt, and let it propel you toward success. The strength you gain might just redefine your career.